Ellen MacArthur broke the world record for the fastest person to sail alone around the world in 2005, when she was 28 years old. As a schoolgirl, she saved her money to buy a boat and learned to sail, and, at 17, she left school to begin her apprenticeship as a sailor. Ellen says that when she sailed alone, her world was finite. She had to carry everything she needed, including food, drinking water, clothes, and toothpaste. She says that our world is the same. We have only the fuel, food, air, and water that planet Earth provides, no more. So in 2010, Ellen left her job of being a professional sailor and started the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which works with education and businesses to help change the world's economy. Her goal is a world that doesn't produce any waste. Ellen believes that we can and must learn to use Earth's finite materials carefully. Ellen MacArthur's idea worth spreading is that we live in a world of infinite possibilities but finite resources. And this requires creative thinking about our global economy and our individual lifestyles.
When you're a child, anything and everything is possible. The challenge so often is hanging on to that as we grow up. And as a 4-year-old, I had the opportunity to sail for the first time. I will never forget the excitement as we closed the coast. I will never forget the feeling of adventure as I climbed on board the boat and stared into her tiny cabin for the first time. But the most amazing feeling was the feeling of freedom, the feeling that I felt when we hoisted her sails. As a 4-year-old child, it was the greatest sense of freedom that I could ever imagine. I made my mind up there and then that one day, somehow, I was going to sail around the world. So I did what I could in my life to get closer to that dream. Age 10, it was saving my school dinner money change. Every single day for 8 years, I had mashed potato and baked beans, which cost 4p each, and gravy was free. Every day I would pile up the change on the top of my money box, And when that pile reached a pound, I would drop it in and cross off one of the 100 squares I'd drawn on a piece of paper. Finally, I bought a tiny dinghy. I spent hours sitting on it in the garden, dreaming of my goal. I read every book I could on sailing. And then eventually, having been told by my school I wasn't clever enough to be a vet, left school age 17 to begin my apprenticeship in sailing. So imagine how it felt just 4 years later to be sitting in a boardroom in front of someone who I knew could make that dream come true. I felt like my life depended on that moment. And incredibly, he said yes. And I could barely contain my excitement as I sat in that first design meeting, designing a boat on which I was going to sail solo non-stop around the world. From that first meeting to the finish line of the race, it was everything I'd ever imagined. Just like in my dreams, there were amazing parts and tough parts. We missed an iceberg by 20 feet. 9 times I climbed to the top of her 90-foot mast. We were blown on our side in the Southern Ocean, but the sunsets, the wildlife, and the remoteness were absolutely breathtaking. After 3 months at sea, aged just 24, I finished in second position. I loved it, so much so that within 6 months, I decided to go around the world again, but this time, not to race, to try to be the fastest person ever to sail solo non-stop around the world. It's hard to explain, but you enter a different mode when you head out there. Your boat is your entire world, and what you take with you when you leave is all you have. If I said to you all now, go off into Vancouver and find everything that you will need for your survival for the next 3 months, that's quite a task. That's food, fuel, clothes, even toilet roll and toothpaste. That's what we do, and when we leave, we manage it down to the last drop of diesel and the last packet of food. No experience in my life could have given me a better understanding of the definition of the word finite. What we have out there is all we have. There is no more. And never in life had I ever translated that definition of finite that I'd felt on board to anything outside of sailing, until I stepped off the boat at the finish line, having broken that record. Suddenly I connected the dots. Our global economy is no different. It's entirely dependent on finite materials we only have once in the history of humanity. And it was a bit like seeing something you weren't expecting under a stone and having 2 choices. I either put that stone to one side and learned more about it, or I put that stone back and I carried on with my dream job of sailing around the world. I chose the first. I put it to one side, and I began a new journey of learning, speaking to chief executives, experts, scientists, economists, to try and understand just how our global economy works. And my curiosity took me to some extraordinary places. This photo was taken in the burner of a coal-fired power station. I was fascinated by coal, fundamental to our global energy needs, but also very close to my family. My great-grandfather was a coal miner, and he spent 50 years of his life underground. This is a photo of him, and when you see that photo, you see someone from another era. I remember sitting on his knee listening to his mining stories. He talked of the camaraderie underground and the fact that the miners used to save the crusts of their sandwiches to give to the ponies they worked with underground. It was like it was yesterday. And on my journey of learning, I went to the World Coal Association website, and there in the middle of the homepage it said, we have about 118 years of coal left. And I thought to myself, well, that's well outside my lifetime, and a much greater figure than the predictions for oil. But I did the maths, and I realized that my great-grandfather had been born exactly 118 years before that year. And I sat on his knee till I was 11 years old. And I realized it's nothing, in time nor in history. And it made me make the decision I never thought I would make, to leave the sport of solo sailing behind me and focus on the greatest challenge I'd ever come across, the future of our global economy. And I quickly realized it wasn't just about energy, it was also materials. In 2008, I picked up a scientific study looking at how many years we have of valuable materials we extract from the ground. Copper 61, tin, zinc 40, silver 29. These figures couldn't be exact, but we knew those materials were finite. We only have them once. If we could build an economy that would use things rather than use them up, we could build a future that really could work in the long term. I was excited. This was something to work towards. We knew exactly where we were headed. We just had to work out how to get there. And it was with exactly this in mind that we created the Ellen MacArthur Foundation in September 2010. What if packaging was so non-toxic it could dissolve in water and we could ultimately drink it? It would never become waste. What if engines were remanufacturable and we could recover the components, materials, and significantly reduce energy demands? What if we could recover components from circuit boards, reutilize them, and then fundamentally recover the materials within them through a second stage? What if we could collect food waste, human waste? What if we could turn that into fertilizer, heat, energy, ultimately reconnecting nutrient systems and rebuilding natural capital? Is it actually possible? I believe yes. When you look at the lifetime of my great-grandfather, anything's possible. When he was born, there were only 25 cars in the world that had only just been invented. When he was 14, we flew for the first time in history. Now there are 100,000 charter flights every single day. When he was 45, we built the first computer. Many said it wouldn't catch on, but it did, and just 20 years later, we turned it into a microchip, of which there'll be thousands of in this room here today. 10 years before he died, we built the first mobile phone. It wasn't that mobile, to be fair, but now it really is. And as my great-grandfather left this earth, the internet arrived. Now we can do anything. But more importantly, now we have a plan. Thank you.